This conference will now be recorded.
Yes. Now, as I have explained you earlier, CLR is like it's a common language runtime. So, which will, when we are running that .NET code, CLR will take code which we have written in all the languages, maybe in any language, and then it will convert that code into MSIL, which is Microsoft Intermediate Language, right? So, if it is, which is a .NET actually language, the .NET will understandable language, that is. So, then we have to convert the code into that system language, because the system has to process the request and has to give the response. So, JIT compiler will come into the picture, and then JIT compiler will take that MSCL formatted code, then it will convert that one to machine language, right? So in this actually we have three JIT compilers like PraseIt, NormalJIT, EconoJIT. PraseIt, what will do? It will at the time of deployment or at the time of build the application, it will take all the code and it will just convert that into a single solution. Okay, then NormalJIT, what it will do? It will again build it, and first time when it is build that one, no, if it is the code maybe repeatedly will be useful for other process request also. So NormalJIT, what it will do? It will just convert the code into one single solution. Then it will keep that information in the memory. So in the subsequent request, it will take the code and the feature from the memory, and then it will just uh, process the subsequent request. The EconoJIT, what it will do, like it's a normal jet, it will do the same thing, but when the in the cache, it will keep it, right? So whenever it is not necessary, it will free up the memory. So this is the JIT compiler as of now. Okay, now as I told you again, we have two types of memories, which is a stack and heap. Stack is like for value types, whatever we are creating the variable, it will be stored in the memory, in the stack memory. Reference type meaning when we have one class which has another, say for example we have 4 or 5 methods in that add, edit, delete methods we have. So the in when we have created that one object for the particular class, it will create that it will occupy the memory in the heap, but the reference will be there in the stack. So when we have, say for example, if any add method is there, in that if I declare any int a, int b for the two variables, that time int a and b has the memory allocation in the stack. When I have completed that one, at the end of the statement, it will release the memory from the stack automatically by using the CLR. So, but the memory which is occupied by in the heap memory, it cannot do anything, because by using the CLR. So for that, garbage collector is required. So then what it will do, garbage collector will work only on the managed resource itself only. So I'll share my screen so that maybe you'll understand. If you have any questions, maybe you can just stop me in between. Okay.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
1 second, sorry.
Screen sharing is gone.
Yeah, I'll share it. Now you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as I told you, the garbage collector will do the automatic memory cleanup actually. So it serves an automatic memory manager. It will work as an automatic memory manager. Okay. The garbage collector manages the allocation and release memory of an application. Okay. Then the developers or whoever is working in any one of the languages, they need not to worry anything about that managed objects. Garbage collector will internally work and then it will just clean up the things. Okay. Okay, the benefit of the garbage collector is like frees the developers from having them manually release the memory. Say for example, if I have created one integer, okay, so it is allocating the memory in the stack. So I need not to worry anything about the stack memory because even for the heap memory also for the managed resources, garbage collector will work automatically. Then it will just free up it. So developer need not to do anything it manually, like okay, and it allocates the objects on the managed heap efficiently because garbage collector will work only on the heap memory, right? CLR will work on that static memory, like it's a stack, right? The garbage collector will work on the heap memory itself only. The garbage collector work is to allocate the memory and then free up the memory from the managed heap itself only. So in this actually we'll have three generations in the garbage collector. Okay, so three
Before
generations
that,
do.
how does the GC get created?
No, GC will not do anything. Common language runtime itself only will handle that GC. GC is part of the common language runtime.
Okay. Is it
One
just
of the
like the
main important. Yeah, go
is it
ahead.
just like the thread that is in Java?
Thread is like, say for example, when you are running any process, right? So what
Hmm.
it will do, main thread will be created. Say for example, whenever you are creating any calculator method, calculator, when you opened it, already the background thread will, the one process will be created. Say for example, you can just see that one in the task manager when you open any calculator, right? So then when you click on right click on the Windows task manager, when you go when you open the task manager, you will see calc.exe, one which is a process which is running in the background, right? That is a thread, is like it's a process, it's a lightweight process. So every process has own thread which is a main thread. Okay, automatically it will be creating, right? So like that only the common language runtime will automatically involve in the garbage collector. The garbage collector is a part of common language runtime. Okay, yeah. Say for example, as I told you, we have the three generations, right? In the three generations, objects will be there. I'll share one more slide. These are the three generations which we'll have. Okay. So generation 0, generation 1, and then generation 2. So, and this generation 0, what it will have is, say for example, it will have the short-lived objects itself only. In the generation 0, short-lived objects. Say for example, I created, say for example, string Chakradhara, or maybe string str equal to connection or something. I have created any one of the variable. Okay, I have assigned value to that reference variable. Okay, that time which is a short memory. Say for example, when I have created any reference object which is a short memory, which is like once execution is done, once the use is done, it will be freed up because no more it is useful for the short-lived objects when I'm creating it. So in the generation 0, always the short-lived objects will be there. Example, like it's a temporary objects. So that time the GC initiates the garbage collection process frequently on this generation. Always garbage collector will focus on the generation 0. Got it? What I'm trying to say? Any question?
No.
Okay, so in the generation 0, short-lived objects will be there. So garbage collector always will be focused on generation 0 itself only, meaning it will always look into the generation 0 and it will try to free up the memory if it is not useful. Okay, then I'll come to the generation 1 part. In the generation 1, if this is a generation is the buffer between the short-lived and the long-lived objects. Say for example, long-lived objects will be there in the generation 2. Short-lived objects will be there in generation 0. So in the generation 1, which is like it's a buffer, so it will move the objects from generation 0, generation 1, generation 2. And if it is not no more useful in generation 2, then it will move back to generation 1. Then again, that object, if it is not useful, then it will move back to generation 0. Then GC works on the generation 0, it will free up the memory. Okay, then the generation 1 is the buffer between the short-lived and the long-lived. So long-lived objects will be there in the generation 2. So I'll come to generation 2 part now. In the generation 0, the generation holds a long-lived objects like it's a static and global variables. Say for example, in page, I can declare the global variables and local variables also, right? In the private, say for example, I have a method add. Okay, inside that add method, I have declared, say for example, scr equal to, I have assigned some value to it. Like it's a Isha technology, some value I have assigned inside the method add, which is a private, which is available for the particular method itself only. Okay, which is like it's a local variable, means it is a local to that particular method, add method, whatever I'm creating it. Global variables are there, which will be declared outside of the any method. Say for example, when we have created any page or any form, that time we'll have some class name. After that, we'll have some constructors and everything. So without adding any method, we should not, if we add any variable, we not inside any method, means it's outside of any method, then it will be treated as a global variable. Okay, yeah. Meaning if I have add method, I have delete method, I have edit method. So I have declared one variable in add, one variable in delete, one variable in edit. So these are the local variables for a particular methods. But outside of these methods, commonly I have created one more variable, which is a which we'll call as a global variable, which will be useful in any one of the methods. Say for example, I have integer I have declared, I have assigned a value equal to 0. That integer I method variable, I can use that one in the add, edit or delete method, because I have declared that one as a global variable. Okay. So further, the garbage in the generation 2 will have the memory allocation for the global variables that needs to be persisted on a certain amount of time, meaning that has to be there in the memory for certain amount of time, because we will use that. See, when we will go for the global variable, if the global variable, if we are creating, we will use that variable or whatever the object we are creating as a global variable, globally, we will use that that one in multiple places, not in single place. So that's what only we'll call that one as a global variable. So even if the one method is executed successfully, we wouldn't know that whether that will be useful or not, that a global variable. So we will think that maybe we can use in some different method also. So that if we use global variable, the memory will be allocated in the generation 2. Objects which are not collected in generation 0 are then moved to generation 1. Say for example, so objects, a garbage collector is running, right? So that time, if the say for example, I have string 1, string 2, string 3, I have in generation 0. So string 1 is erased because garbage collector is identified with the string 1 is not useful anymore. So which is fired, and then it releases the memory for the string 1. Now string 2, string 3 are there. Garbage collector has run that, but which is not clear, release the memory for string 1, 2 and string 3. So whatever it is lived in string 1 and then string 2, when next time the garbage collector runs the process, it will identify still that string 2 and string 3 are there, which is useful. So I can move these one to that next step, which is a generation 1. So garbage collector will automatically moves these variables or these objects to that generation 1 then. Okay, such objects are known as, like, it's a survivors, we'll call as survivors, meaning it is not freed up the memory, means which is not destroyed as of now, because it is still survived, because which is not gone by garbage collector. So we'll call that one as a survivors. Okay, then these survivors will be there in the generation 1. So again garbage collector will run that, and then it will just check for the generation 0 and generation 1 again. So still the string 2 is released, string 2 is no more useful. Then the garbage collector will move that one to generation 0. Then again when it is running it, it will release the memory from the generation 0 for the string 2. But when the garbage collector is running again, it will just check in the generation 0, generation 1, generation 2, right? So in the generation 1, I have string 3 object. So garbage collector will check whether the string 3 is useful in any one of the code, in any one of the place or not. If it is identifying that yes, still it is available and still it is useful, then it will just move that one to generation 3. Then automatically whatever it is there in the generation 2 now, it will just move that one to generation 0 if it is not useful. Then from the generation 0, it will just free up the memory. So garbage collector, when the garbage, you may think like when the garbage collector will fire, so that we don't know anything about it. Automatically the CLR will fire it. Automatically, say for example, when the memory leakage is coming, when the RAM memory, say for example, it will be there in the system memory itself only, right? So that time if the system memory is full, garbage collector will automatically fire, and then it will check in all the generations, and then it will just try to free up the memory from the generations. Any questions?
Satish, one suggestion, maybe if we can visualize us on the paint or something, right? By writing, I think that will help us to remember the points better.
Definitely, I'll just give you the points, because I'll try to, what I'll do is I'll try to at the last session, right? What I'll do is I'll just write one application. Okay, I'll just try to create one integer, one string, and everything. Okay, so I'll just put a note there, like string will be there in the static memory. Okay, when I'm creating the object, that object will be there in the heap memory. So this heap memory will be called by garbage collector, like that. I'll just make a note and then I'll show it to you in one of the applications.
Sure. Maybe while explaining also, if you can visualize it on Paint or something, right? MS Paint, like all other
Definitely, I'll do
trainers are
that.
doing it. It will help us to remember well.
Definitely, I'll do that from next time onwards, because anyway, I'll just recap this one, right? That time I'll show it in the PPT. Now, what you want is generation 0, I have simply given, you want the examples with the screenshot, right?
Yeah.
Correct, no?
Yeah, not screenshot, maybe just drawing. Like they'll visualize using a paint on a paint. They'll draw the generation 1, 0, and like that. Yeah.
Correct. But can you see my screen? Because I have written something generation 0, generation 1, and generation 2.
Yeah. We are able to see the PPT.
Okay, this one, right? Because like this way only, you want that one in the paint.
Yeah, maybe while explaining, like all other trainers do, right? Writing on that, visualizing on the MS Paint, right?
Okay. What I'm trying to explain you is you just wanted to type it and then you want me to show it, right?
Yeah. Maybe just visualizing
Definitely.
how it works.
I'll do that. Now, any questions for the garbage collection for now?
No, I think the concepts are again more like how we see it in Java, right?
Yeah, the concept is same only, because in differently it will work. That's it.
Yeah.
No other thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Say for example, for the Java, you will have syntax is different, right? In the .NET, you will have something syntax is different. Say for example, I'll give you in the C# itself only. We'll have, as I told you, like a 60 language we have. Like I'll open one
Like maybe for example in Java there is system.gc that actually triggers the GC, right? What do we
Okay.
have here? Is there
No,
any
that's what
such
only we'll not call the garbage collector in C sharp. Actually,
okay.
GC dot collect will have GC dot collect, like it's a GC dot collect collect will have, but you will not see anywhere this one when you are calling, when the people are calling this one. So you will not find
Okay.
anything here. Okay,
It's
because
built.
CLR, yeah, because common language runtime automatically calls this one. The .NET framework will automatically call this. So we need not to call anything this one.
Okay. On a memory full occasions, it'll automatically trigger the yeah.
Yes, yes. Because when it will call this one, we are not sure that when it will call, because nobody can say that when it will call. But if the memory is going to full, definitely it will be fired. Or else automatically garbage collector by the system only itself only, it used to call it very frequently. And then it uses to clean the memory automatically. That's what only, you don't find any memory leakages almost. But in cases, some places you will find that memory leakages. That time we have to think like this is not the managed resource, which is the unmanaged resource which we have. That one we have to clean it manually by using the dispose method or maybe finders method we have. Okay. So as I told you, like in the any questions for the garbage collector?
No.
No, you don't have, right? Okay. As I told you, like it's a managed code and then unmanaged code. Two are there. Okay. Managed resource and unmanaged resource. Managed resource, garbage collector will work only on the managed resource. Okay. Which is meaning like managed code meaning which can be compiled and the runs under the CLR. Okay. Which is a pure .NET code managed by the runtime is called a managed code. Okay, such as like it's a variable, string, integer, bool variables, whatever we are creating that one, no, that variables, that is called as a managed code. First, some others are there which is like it's a non-managed unmanaged code, which are like, say for example, for the logging purpose you will just open one notepad. Okay, for file stream you will open, maybe you will log the errors in one particular notepad, right? Maybe you would have seen that, right? Say for example, when you tracing file, these are that while tracing file, and then when you are just opening any file, when you are doing any modifications on a particular file, or when you are just trying to hit the database, when you are fetching the information from the database, you have to open the connection for the database, right? So when you are open the connection, that is like the opening the connection, that is the unmanaged code which we have to do it manually. Like the closing connection and everything we have to do it manually. That is a managed resource. Open the connections, closing the connections, open the files, and then closing the files. For this, the closing that files memory also, to release the files memory also, which is the unmanaged code, which is right. So that one basically we have to clean by using the dispose methods itself only. I'll come with the examples later in the sessions. But in the previous session you have asked about what is the ASPX file extension, how, okay, and you just asked me to show one example, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll share my screen again, and then I'll go for ASPX file, and then I'll show you now how to deploy the ASP.NET application in the IIS, how to run the application, so that you will have some better idea. Okay, so that in the next class I'll show you like unmanaged cons and then threading concept. Now I'll go and then open IIS. Okay, I'll share my screen. Let me know when you can see my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, you can see my screen, right? Say for example, in the Visual Studio, I have created one web application project. Okay, in the web application project, which is a solution. In the web application project, when you see this solution, this is that solution. You can right click on it, click on add button, add new item. You can select the page as web form. Okay, this is the web form for which you can see the extension of it at the bottom. You can see I'm highlighting there.
Yeah.
Test2.aspx, which is a ASP.NET page. Which is a ASP.NET page. Okay, what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to keep one header here. I'm writing here hello test Isha technologies. I'm writing here. Okay, yeah, here. But for that, before that, I have one more page which is like the form web form 1, web form page 2 also I have created already. Okay, yeah. Now in the page 2, what I'm trying to do is from the toolbox, if you want to do perform any actions, you
Is
have to
it
go
possible
to
to zoom the font?
it is already on 100% zoom itself only. Still you can't see the complete form.
Okay. Maybe I'll check my phone set
Oh, you are taking the class from phone or maybe from laptop?
from phone.
Oh, then it will be something here. A small window itself only you can see because it is a 100% zoom only for me. But anyway, I'll just try to expand that. I'll just try
Yeah.
150. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah. Yeah. Better.
Okay. Now, what I'm doing is when we want to perform any action in the .NET, okay, in the ASPX, okay, so we have to go for the toolbox, which is available in the toolbox, like it's in the view. Go to toolbox. When you click on this, you will find the toolbox on the left hand side. Okay, so there we have so many standard buttons, like it's a checkbox, we'll have radio buttons, we'll have calendar buttons, and link buttons, drop downs. Okay, and so on few more, so a lot of things will be there. Now what I'm doing is I'm trying to drag and drop these buttons in my page. Okay, for this button I'm giving the name as btn submit. Okay, I'm giving the button name as submit. Okay, now I'm going to this design. Here we have the source and design. Both we have source and design. This is the source, meaning like whatever you are seeing this one HTML code, like it's a form ID, button ID and everything. This is the source, which is a code for the control, only for the designing purpose. Okay, so when I'm going to design, whatever I'm placing in the page, it is a UI kind of thing where we'll have the whatever I have written in the source, right, it will be visible in the design section. So I just wanted to when I'm clicking on this button, I just wanted to navigate from page 2 to F2 page. Okay, now if I'm in page 2, when I'm clicking on submit button, I just wanted to redirect from page 2 to test2 page. Okay, so for this one, first of all, I have to write the code. So for this, I'm clicking on submit button. I have double clicked on it. So that time, actually in the source and the design I have shown you, right? In this source, here automatically one event is added, which is an on-click event. Okay, for this button till now, till here itself only I have added it, right? But when I am clicking on this button, double click on this button, it is added one event in the source. Okay, and automatically in the page aspx.cs file, I have this button click event written here, which is a void method. Void meaning which will not return anything. Which is a void method means I can perform any of the action, like I can do any action in this. Okay, so as I told you, this is the ASPX which will be useful to design the page. Here maybe I can just add one more text box also. I can place it the text box. Say for example, I'll give one text box here. This is the text box, okay, which is like I'm giving name as txt test I'm giving. Okay, now on click of this button, what I am doing is txt test dot text equal to Isha test. Okay, initially in this text box, I'm not assigning any value, which will be a null. It will be empty text box. It will display. When I'm clicking on page 2, okay, when I'm clicking on this submit button, I just wanted to assign a value to this text box. So what I'm doing is now, okay, now this is done. What I'm doing is for now, I'm clicking on this run button. To run this, you have to click on this green color button. Okay, when I'm clicking on run button, it will just open the application in browser. Okay, now in this on the page load, I have created one text box, right, and one submit button I have. This is the heading which I have given. This is the this is pages web application. I have given some text. Now on click of it, what I have written is I am just assigning some value to this, which is a Isha test, right? So I click and then check whether it is assigning the value or not. When I'm clicking on it, Isha test is assigned to this. Okay. Now I just wanted to check this application with the IAS. Okay, and before that, I just wanted to navigate from one page to another page. As I told you, like on click of submit button, I wanted to navigate it to test 2 page. So for this, I'm using response dot redirect, meaning I'm just response meaning redirect meaning I just wanted to redirect the page from one page to another. Response dot redirect of give the page name here within the double quotes. Give your page name here. What is the page name? test2.aspx. Give test2.aspx, which is very important. We have to give it the extension, otherwise it won't work. Okay, within the double quotes, I have given test2.aspx. So what will happen when I'm running the application? When I click on submit button, my page will be redirecting from page 2 to test2.aspx. I'll see by running the application. So in the browser, when you see in the URL, currently the page name is page2.aspx, which is my current page. On click of this button, I'm redirecting this one to test2.aspx, which we'll see now. On click of submit button, now the URL is changed test2.aspx, which is hello test Isha Technologies I have written in the page, which is in my ASPX page. Okay, now I'm stopping this one. Then I stop this. Yeah, now first of all, to deploy the application in IIS, we have to just confirm whether we have the internet information services, which is like it's a web application deployment server, which is there in our system or not. We have to confirm it. So for that, what we have to do is go to start button, type INETMGR. I'll just type it in the notepad. INETMGR, which is to make sure whether the internet information is available in our local or not. Okay, in the particular system or not. Say for example, you have connected to one specific server. There you want to deploy something, but you don't know whether the IAS is installed or not. So what you can do is go to start button, INET MGR. So you can find out this Internet Information Services Manager. Okay, this is where we are going to deploy the .NET applications. All right. Or else what you can do is go to start button. If you are not familiar with the command, then go to internet directly. You can just type it with full form, Internet Information Services. It will open. The short form is INET MGR. Okay, INET MGR. So what I am doing is I have already opened the INET MGR. I'll just close this. Okay. I'm closing this one out. Now INET MGR, I'm opening this, right click on it. In the administrator mode, I'm opening this now. Okay, so which will open the INET MGR now. Okay, now this is my default system name. If you are connecting to your system, it will be like your system name will be there. If you are connected to server, it will give the server name. Okay, then when you click on expand button, you will find the application pools, which I'll cover it later. Now you will have the sites. Under this site, one default website will be there. Always when you open the, even if the server is newly created, even if no application in the means Internet Information Services, when you open the INET Manager, default website will be there, so that you can deploy your application in the default website itself only, or else you can just directly right click on the sites, click on add website, give the site name as test, and give the physical path whatever you want it. Okay, that is one thing which you can create the website on your own. What I am doing currently is in the default website already there. Now what I am doing is I am clicking on add application. Okay, in the add application, if I create, I'll show it you again. Add application test IAS. Okay, here I'll give the physical path. Physical path is where my application code resides. Okay, my application code is saved in the C drive, in the Chakradhara, in the practice, in the Isha training, in the performance engineering. Within the performance engineering, again I have the performance engineering. I'm selecting this one. Okay, which is auto port is assigned as 80. For all the applications, by default the port number 80 will be assigned. This is which is a default port number for the .NET application.
So you selected the project, right?
Project, yes, .NET project, ASP.NET project I have selected. This is not the solution. I'll say it again. I'm not selecting this solution. This is the solution. Okay, I'm not selecting this one. I'm selecting this one. Okay, under one solution, I'll have multiple projects. Okay, like this way, I can have another project also, like it's a performance testing, maybe a QA testing or UAT testing, like this. This is the main solution. Under the solution, I'll have different projects, means different applications. So I have to select this path. So here I have selected that path and I'm clicking on OK button. Okay, now by default, whatever the site you are creating, website you are creating in the IAS with the particular name, one application will be created automatically and the same will be assigned to that particular web application which we are trying to deploy in the IAS. Okay, so I have given this one as test IAS. So the application default pool is creating as test IAS. Now I'm clicking on OK button. Okay, now it is showing that the binding 8 is assigned to another site also, which is not a problem. But for two applications, it can be there. Now what I'm doing is I'm stopping this application. Stop. Now I'll start this application. Start it. Now, when you see this one, these are the features for the IAS, features of the IAS, which is a very vast concept, which I'm not going to cover anything because which will be useful for the developers itself only, which will not be useful for QAs and for other persons. Even only few concepts only will be useful for the developers. Okay, like it's a authorization. If we want to give any to particular whom we have to give the access to the particular application, this one, and then users we can create and SSL we can create by using this SSL settings and everything. So many features are there in this. So which is the features window which will be useful for different purposes for the role based and other stuff which is okay. Now I have another thing which is called content view, which will have the currently focused item information in the content view. Okay, if you observe in my application, I have ASP2 page I have added, ASP test2 I have added, form2 I have, form1 I have added it. Okay, so whatever the pages I have added, whatever the content is available for this one, whatever I have selected is a performance engineering, right? That will be showed up here. When you see this one, click on explore, it will directly go to my application path. Okay, maybe you can ask the question like, you have created a test IAS, but I could not able to see anything in the folder with the name of test2, right? Because this is a virtual directory. We'll call this one as a virtual directory. The test IAS is a virtual directory which will not be stored in any one of the drives, which will not be stored in our drive, which is a virtual. But this will be mapped to our application, where you can see is here in the advanced settings, you can see the mapped path, physical path, right? This virtual directory is mapped to this physical path. So when I'm clicking on, when I'm doing right click, when I'm clicking on explore button, it is opening the physical path of my application. All right. Any questions till now?
How has it selected that
Which
name
one?
of the virtual folder, virtual directory?
This one. Okay. Now again, I'll show it to you. Go to sites, click on add website, give the site name, which is the virtual name itself only. Say for example,
Oh,
now I'll give Isha test. Okay, give the
got it.
physical path here. Okay, say for example, I'm selecting again because I cannot stop.
Yeah, got it. I think it's the name that we defined, right? Site name.
Correct, correct. Whatever the name we have given, that is a virtual directory, which is a virtual directory which will not be stored, which will not be available in our folders. Okay, but this virtual path will be mapped to our physical folder, which is my application actually resides in that folder. Okay, there itself. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm going to click on this and then I'm going to click on page 2 and then browse. We'll see what we have. Because this is my office laptop, whether it will open it up or not, I have to just check, because if I don't have any, now it is open. Now see here, when I browse from the IAS also, which is open localhost page2.aspx, when you click on submit button, it will redirect to the test2.aspx. Observe here, localhost / test2.aspx itself only is there. Okay, but when you are running the actual application, what is showing? See here, one port number it is there, right? Which is a 44325, which is a by default Microsoft will assign one particular port number when we are running the application in the .NET. So which is a port number, which you can see that one here in the trace, in the taskbar. You can see this, right? IAS Express. Are you able to see that?
Yeah, but is that
Okay.
for only for local system, or where do we see
Yeah,
that in the?
no. When you are running the application in the debug mode or in the, see, I have opened the .NET code, right?
Yeah.
I have opened the .NET code. I'm running it. For this, actually, .NET Framework has to assign one port number. Okay. So that's what only it is there in IIS Express. So when you right click on it, you can just check this port number 44325.
Yeah, but the actual application will be 80, right? Once we deploy it in another
that is 80. See, okay, that is there. Say when you say this, even when you are running this one 44328, by using that one you can just run it, or else directly you can just use this URL and then click on another different tab and then paste it there. It will work. So in two ways you can do it. Like by using the .NET application, you can just open the .NET application and then run it, or else directly you can just browse through IIS also. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is here I'll give the port number here as 80. We'll see whether it will work or not. 80, which is done, which is not showing anyway, but we'll try to change it whether, because this is also one of the files only I'm doing it, because this is my office. One second, Deepa, please. 1 second, please. Adya. Yeah, Deepa, I'm back. I'm sorry. Now I'm going to this advanced settings. I'm going to the bindings, which is a port number is 80 I have given, right? Now I'm changing this one to 82. Okay. Now I'm clicking on OK button. Click close button. Now when you say this, browse, which is 82, which is open. Now is it is open. See, whatever the port number I have given in the IIS deployment, right? With that port itself only, it will work. Now you try to give the 80 port, it will work or not. Page cannot be displayed, page not found. Because for this application, I have given the port number as 82. That's what only it will work under the port number. So why? Because you can have n number of applications in the IIS. So each application should run in different ports. Okay. So by default, the port number will be assigned as 80. Say for example, if I have already assigned one port number 80 in my IIS, then it will prompt that the port number 80 is already present in the IIS. Do you want to change it or not? It will give some prompt. When you click yes, you create again, then the application will be created in the sites, but it will be in stopped mode. You cannot start it. Two websites in the IIS with the same port number cannot be started parallelly. One has to stop it, then other has to run it. Otherwise the IIS will be confused which one has to work it, right? So that's what only the different port numbers will be useful. Say for example, if I'm creating another application, I'll give another port number. When I'm creating itself only port 83, you give the site name, which is a virtual path, and then give the physical path name, and then give OK button, which it will create another application here with the port number 83 or whatever the port number you have given it. Any questions till now?
No.
And right, how to deploy the application in this one?
Got it.
Okay. Now in the applications pools are there. The application pool is like under which .NET framework version it should run, which will be there. Sorry.
Sorry. I was unmuted.
Okay. So now it will be useful. Like say for example, in the older applications, the .NET framework might be it's a 2.0 classic, maybe 2.0. Now what I'm running it's a 4.0. So I have two applications, which is in .NET version 2.0, which I have implemented it, and then one more application which I have implemented in .NET 4.0. Whatever I have implemented in 2.0, I cannot assign that application pool, this one here. I cannot assign that one to v4.0, which will not run. So whatever I have created in 4.0, I cannot assign that CLR version as 2.0, which will not run. So that the application will be pool will be useful for this purpose itself only. Say for example, here in this, I have test Isha testing, right? For this, when you say this in the application, in the application default pool is which is there, which is default pool, I'm assigning it. Okay, now when I'm creating another application, test v2, I'm giving again the physical part. Here the default, by default the pool is selecting this default pool. I am selecting this one to .NET v2.0. okay, click OK button. So how I'm showing is, in particular solution itself only will have different applications. Say for example, in my live scenario, I'm telling you, I have report concepts also, which we are using the crystal reports. When I'm selecting any one of the names, for example, if I want the customer information, I'm going to select that customer information report. When I'm clicking on run button, it will display the customer information in PDF format by using the crystal reports. The crystal report is running in the v2.0 version. Okay, but my main.NET main application is running in the 4.0. But the crystal report application, okay, and then my main application are deployed in the same website itself only, because those are mutually has to interact with it, and then it has to display the information. Okay, so for that I have to create the different applications by using the different applications pools. So for this, if it is a crystal reports, then I have to assign this application pool as v2.0. If it is my main application, then I have to assign here as my the .NET version as 4.0. So it will work with the particular versions itself only, for which when I'm developing it, whatever the framework I have selected it, which will run it. Otherwise it will give the crash. Any questions again to create the application, or maybe to deploy the application in the IAS or some, maybe to create the application pools? You can add the application pool here also. Let's say for example test Isha 1, maybe select the version, particular version, whatever you want it. Say v2, I'm selecting it now, and then I'm clicking on OK button. So which will create Isha 1. Like that the application pools can be created, and then when you are creating the applications in the site section, you can assign the particular application pool so that it will work as per the expectation. Any questions till now?
If you create many application pools, right? How is the system resources on that server gets divided between the application pools?
No, that's not only. The application pool will not be divided, because the pool is assigned in this, right? In the application, right?
Got it. But
That's what
if I say I
I'm
have,
trying to explain. Yeah, you have several applications pools, right? You will be assigning this one to this website. Okay. So when you are trying to run this application, one port will be assigned for this, right? Hello?
yeah.
Okay, one port will be assigned, one process will be assigned. Based on that port itself only, it will just make sure, because it will not take anything from the application pool. It will take the information from these websites itself only, no?
Okay. It is not a very, I mean, lot of actions that it will be doing, right? It is only to reroute or put the path, all that, right?
Correct.
Otherwise, we
If
don't
you have,
have a lot of actions or
yeah,
that
see
will be
what I have
performed.
done is earlier, yeah, what I have done is initially I have created only that application here, right? One application when I'm creating it, one website when I'm creating it, I have not selected any application pool. By default, it is assigned, which is okay for my website, which can run under that particular application pool, which is assigned different .NET application framework, right? So, which is okay. That's what only it was running in my local. So if I want to run in different environments, different versions, then I have to choose the application pool or else, which is okay.
Okay, but as an example, when we see a lot of issues in production, right? Like the site went down or
Yeah,
application
that's
pool,
what. That's what.
yeah, they
I'll
reset
show.
the application pools, right? So
Correct. Now what I'll try to do is, here I'm clicking on stop button. Okay. Hello, Deepa,
yeah,
are
I'm
you
listening.
there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. Now I have clicked on stop button. Okay. Now this is my this is running from my IAS itself only. Now click on this or whatever I have given, the port number 82. I guess I have given, right? 1 second. Let me do it. Which is not available. 1 second. Let me confirm whether it is correct. I'm just stop this. Stop. Refresh. Browse.
Can we wind up a little early today?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, now this is there. Okay, because my application is running under my IAS. Now what I am doing is I am stopping this website. Okay, now you just refresh this. It will not work. Sometimes number of hits are coming to the same application, right? If many users are accessing my application, that time maybe memory will not be there. Maybe its server is taking more time to serve my request, right? So that time what we have to do is we can just go ahead and we need not to stop it again. We can just right click and refresh the application. That's it. When you are refreshing it again, it will be start up the application. That time you have to keep a note that whoever is accessing this application, right, there will be logged off, because all the caching will be cleared, all the session will be out, everything will be cleared. So users has to relog in again when you refresh this application, means this application, right? So that time if your application is performs very slow or something, you can just directly right click, come back, refresh, or maybe whatever the application pool is assigned to this, directly go to this, recycle it, click on recycle.
So I think my question was that only if we have multiple application pools on a single server, then the system resources will get a lot of system resources would get utilized, shared across different pools, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So if
So
is there any
how would we
error,
know? Yeah, how would we know that we have reached a certain threshold, that these many application pools are there and we cannot create more, add more? How would we know that threshold?
application pools you can create a number. N number you can create. There is no limit, because in the server, when you see this one, say for example, for the larger companies, one particular server will be assigned for the particular group, right? So for the particular group, say for example, 10 or 50 projects are running it. So for the 50 projects, one server is assigned, for which will be used for QA testing, right? But initially QA testing will be done at our local end itself only. So there for the web applications will be deployed in the internal servers itself only, right? Because that time client will not provide any servers, right? That time, say for example, only 2-3 servers will be maintained by the company. So in the particular server itself only, we have to create n number of applications. In my previous application, we have around 300 clients. So 300 applications we have created it. 300 application pools, not only 300, because one application will have the multiple one website will have the multiple application pools also, right, based on the applications. So around more than 500 application pools are created, so there is no limit.
Yeah, but that's what I think. In one of my application, I noticed that we had already created many, and then we noticed like some of the processing was also created here in the web service web server. So that was actually causing an issue, like the CPU was going high. Then when we actually checked with the app support, then they told us that they have created a lot more application pools recently, so that may have caused. So until we get into some issues, we will not know that there is a threshold, right?
No, will not, because if the application is performing very better, then we'll not think about it also, right? What we'll do is, because my application is performing well, that's it, our job is done, like that only we'll think about it. If anything goes wrong, then what we'll do, we'll recycle it. Still, if it is not working, say for example, we'll not simply, as a developer, I'll create so many applications pools which will not be useful for it, right? So that time, whatever the application pools are not required, I can just directly right click and then remove it.
Okay.
Which, if it is not required, like that only it will be. Okay. Any questions on this IaaS deployment or in the application pools?
No. Okay.
You're okay, right? So in the next class, maybe, are you okay tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm okay. But if you can arrange for morning session, that will help. Otherwise, we can take it.